We continue with our conversations on land ownership and related matters. We're focusing today on the land bill. Well, the objective of these conversations is to help address the perennial problems of land litigation witnessed in parts of the country, leading to attacks, injuries, and sometimes deaths. On the studio phone is our regular land expert, Nanama Jua. She's Executive Director for COLANDEF, an NGO that focuses on improving land tenure security to help Ghanaians escape poverty. Hello, Nanama.
Hello.
Nanama, it's good to have you, even though you're not here in the studio today.
Yeah, good to talk to you too.
Right. So let's look at the bill, the land bill that we understand is being made in Parliament. What can people do to be sure that they have adequately secured their lands as far as the land bill before Parliament is concerned? Do we know what's in it?
Yes, thank you very much, Gifty, and good afternoon to your viewers. So, yes, it's very important that we all take an active interest in the land bill. The reason this is important is that, as I mentioned last week, the land bill is an attempt to consolidate all the legislation on land rights, land governance, and land administration. And so whatever our land rights are, how we can protect that right, how to even acquire and secure those rights are all enshrined in the land bill. And therefore, as the land bill is being discussed and reviewed, we all need to take an active interest to ensure that what finally gets signed as the final act becomes something that is relevant to our interests as Ghanaians. Let me give a typical example. So in Ghana, we have different types of land rights or interest in land. We want to ensure that all the different interests in land are recognized by the bill, so that the type of interest I have will be protected by law. And to a large extent, that has been adequately covered in the bill as it is now. We also want to understand how the land acquisition process is streamlined, so that it will be clear to every Ghanaian how to go about acquiring land, how to go about documenting this land right, and how to go about getting the land right registered. Unfortunately, in the bill that we have as of now, the focus is on the registration and not so much on the acquisition and the documentation. And the reason is that the acquisition is handled by the customary landowners, the chiefs, and the traditional leaders, and so on. And therefore, the discussion is that Parliament or the state cannot legislate these matters for the chiefs. But it is of concern because there are a lot of issues in the land sector which emanate from the acquisition process and how that process is handled. And therefore, if we have the advantage of doing a land bill now, if it does not take care of some of these contemporary issues in our land sector, then it means we will have the bill all right. We will eventually have it enacted into an act, but we might still have the challenges we have today in the land sector.
Well, that would be quite unfortunate. And do we know at what stage this bill is in Parliament?
Well, so in fact, I am just on my way from Okoribia to Accra at the moment. Mm-hmm. So the final draft bill has been discussed extensively. Each of the clauses has been discussed and reviewed. The revised bill is now what is being considered. And so the select committee has been working on it. And I must say that the committee is very open because each of the stages, they involve civil society access to participate. However, the discussion and what we conclude on each of these elements leaves much more to be desired because we have a state system and we have the customary system, and the state system does not think that they are in the position to legislate on matters relating to what the customary land system does. And that, as you said, I agree, is unfortunate.
Well, we can't leave it at the level of being unfortunate because, as you've said, this bill essentially focuses on streamlining land acquisition, but then what is contained there is more about the registration as against the acquisition.
At the state level, exactly.
But we know that the acquisition is actually where the problem is.
Exactly. And
so,
that is where we have a challenge. And that is what we need to pursue to ensure that we are able to get attention on how the acquisition processes will be streamlined to protect all of us. Because, again, you know, there is a lot of lack of information in the system. And even if I know how to handle the acquisition process, I am handicapped because who do I deal with? Who is the
regulatory authority when it comes to to acquisition?
Yes.
But you said that there has been consultations, Nanama.
Yes, there have been consultations, but you know, the consultations can always be done, but it depends on whom you consult with and why we do the consultation. A lot of the time, we have situations where you have state agencies having to do some of these things and having to, well, consult in a certain representative level. So at the traditional authority level, they will consult with the National House of Chiefs as representatives, for example. But in terms of the community members or the local, the public, it's some of us, civil society organizations, the media, we are the ones who should serve as a mouthpiece for the general public.
Well, so what will you say that civil society organizations, for example, were not consulted in the draft of this bill?
No, so that's what I'm saying. So currently, it is part of what we are doing.
Okay.
Part of what we are doing, but it's not done. But I'm saying that this is a gap that we have identified which need attention. But as you raise it, the response is that the state cannot legislate on such matters for traditional authorities. So what it means is that you raise the issue, but at the level of the discussion, the conclusion is that much as it is recognized as an issue, it is not something that can be handled.
Wow.
Which we don't think it should be the case.
Wow.
So for us, in fact, as I was driving back, one of the things that came to my mind was that if indeed we cannot include discussions about the customary land arrangements and how the land acquisition processes need to be streamlined within our country, then probably we should look at having a totally different act, a Customary Land Act, which looks at customary land governance in Ghana and how that can be regulated to protect us. Otherwise, we are not going anywhere even after the bill is passed.
Worth considering that point that you made. And Nanama, thank you so much for today. As always, we will certainly be at this again, hopefully next week, as we continue to provide the information or bridge that information gap that we've seen over the years. Nanama Yura, she's the Executive Director of COLANDEF. It's an NGO that's into land regulation. I hope that you've learned a thing or two. So essentially, we have a bill in Parliament that's seeking to deal with land acquisition, etc. But the focus is not really on land acquisition, but on registration. And Nanama is saying that we need to figure out a way of dealing with acquisition. How do we deal with the traditional authorities who are usually the custodians of this land? That's a conversation we'll keep having.